40 years to the day of the Miracle on Ice, USA wins the gold over Canada. You heard our back and forth from Friday night. I would have loved to be wrong, and I love that I was wrong. Jack Hughes, the toothless hero, the boy wonder, winning it for Team USA in OT. And yes, Connor Hellebuck, he is a big game goalie, despite what I said, and despite the many clear, obvious examples that we've had in the Stanley Cup playoff of his experience with the Winnipeg Jets. He brought one of the best games of his entire life. USA beats Canada 2-1 for the gold, exacting revenge for 2002, that beatdown. 2010, Sidney Crosby's gold medal game winner in OT. 2014, or whatever the hell the other time was, when Carey Price stood on his head. And last year in the Four Nations face-off, where McDavid scores the game winner in OT. USA wins. USA gets the gold.
As you mentioned, that harkens back to the 1980 Miracle on Ice. And of course, those were all amateurs, and it's the Soviets, an entirely different set of circumstances. But that was the last time that Team USA clinched their teeth on a gold medal, and they got to go back to 1960, the other time, the late plastic games. So only the third time in Olympic history that Team USA has got the gold medal. It was stirring. It was exciting. That Hughes gold at the end with him and that big, ear-to-ear grin that he has, the chipped tooth that he's missing. There's nothing more American. There's nothing more hockey than that. So stirring, scintillating, unbelievable, gripping performance, and one that will probably forever live in lore among the people that were alive to see it in this generation.
Yeah, and that's what we want you. We want to ask you, the listener and the viewer, where does we were just talking last week on our show, our top 5 sports moments of all time as fans. And I think regardless of whatever team you root for, with our big 4 sports and whatnot, this has to be, if not in your top 5, very close to your top 5. Where does the USA win over Canada yesterday rank in your all-time sports moments? Because for me, Brad, you heard my list the other day. 5, 4, and 3 were all about how the Knicks, Notre Dame, and the Islanders got close to winning a round, not even a championship, got close to winning a round or won a round that put them on the doorstep of a championship, and they still lost. So for me, this is probably number 5. This cracks my top 5 for sure. USA beating Canada yesterday. Because like you said, 46 years to the day of the Miracle on Ice, and Canada was the favorite going in. We hadn't beaten Canada in really anything meaningful in hockey in decades. Outside of what was it, a group stage game, I believe, a couple of years ago. But anytime the medals were on the line or in the knockout rounds in the Olympics, Canada had always beaten the U.S. And so for yesterday, man, it was decades of revenge, and it was the culmination. The women's team, they're not getting enough credit. Yeah. They were dominant in their efforts to win the gold medal.
Yes, they were.
But the men, to beat Canada and to do it in the way that they did, you heard the open. I didn't think we had a chance if this one went to OT because of the speed and the skill and the stick work of some of the greatest players right now on the planet: McDavid, McKinnon, Celebrini, and my doubts about Connor Hellebuck. He was awesome, man. He had 14 saves in just the third period alone, including that one where he whips the stick back on what was a wide open rebound. And just other than just natural born instincts of a goaltender playing in just full flow zone, he was in a flow state in that entire third period and in OT. And maybe it was 4-1. If not for Connor Hellebuck. And I know McKinnon was a little crybaby after the game. Well, we know who the better team was on the ice. Yeah, what was the final? What medal? What color medal are you wearing around your neck? What color? Oh, it's silver. Oh, that's right. You didn't win. So Hellebuck deserves a massive amount of credit. But just, in the third period, Jack Hughes on probably the most unintentional double minor that Sam Bennett's ever going to get, because we know that he has been knacked for some dirty plays in the past. Great player, don't get me wrong, and a champion with the Florida Panthers. But still, guy's a dirty player, and one that, when he's on the other side, you want to kick his ass. And so he catches Jack Hughes with his stick, double minor penalty, knocks a couple of teeth out from Jack Hughes. USA doesn't score on that, and after that, I thought, well, that was probably it. That was probably the U.S.'s chances. But the play that Jack Hughes makes in OT, if not for his great effort to poke the puck away, Canada would have had probably a 2-on-0 breakaway. And instead, Jack Hughes gets his stick in there, and then within 5 seconds, it turns into an odd man rush. He beautifully follows it up and just slots one right past Bennington. So a phenomenal win. Absolutely incredible, electric. The game was physical right from the outset. Like you said, it was early as hell, 8 a.m. Eastern time, 7 a.m. Central. I mean, God, I feel bad for the folks on the West Coast. If you didn't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you missed what was an awesome start to the game. Bodies are flying. People are crashing into one another. It was physical as hell. You had a couple of, some good brouhaha, some good scuffles. Again, somebody that has watched Tom Wilson make dirty plays over and over again. He's laying bodies out. But the USA kept their composure. They get the early goal on an awesome effort from Matt Boldy. And then to shut down a 5-on-3 in the second period, it was at that point I was like, the USA's winning this game. They're going to win. We're going to win this thing. And then, of course, you get a tremendous snapshot from Cale Makar, one of the best defenders on the planet. And then, like I said, we had that double minor for 4 minutes and didn't score. And I thought then it was a roller coaster of emotions the entire way through. But again, it was heroics of Connor Hellebuck. It was the heroics of Jack Hughes. Everybody else, every defenseman for the U.S. basically played a monster role in this one. Shout out to Quinn Hughes as well. He had an assist in this one. And everybody did their job. Everybody did their job when it mattered most. I thought Macklin Celebrini, who, is a rising super, he's already a superstar, but, possibly cusp of being a top 5 player in hockey. I thought he had some great opportunities that he just completely whiffed on or missed the target. And McDavid, there's a separate conversation to be had about him. I think we unanimously regard him as the greatest player on the planet. The guy can't win anything. He can't win the Stanley Cup. He can't win the gold medal. It's got to be tough to be Connor McDavid. But for the Stars and the Stripes, I got the red shirt. I got the blue hat with the white Nike sign, repping Team USA. What a weekend it was for both the women who win the gold and the men who win the gold. And like I said, I think this is probably cracked my top 5 sports moments of all time, because you just didn't think it was going to happen. There was too many chapters of heartbreak and pain watching the U.S. lose to Canada when it mattered the most. And you got a reversal of the script yesterday.
Yeah, indeed you did. And, I was watching the medal ceremony after the game was over. And, of course, the elation of Team USA, guys, skating off the bench, throwing gloves in the air, getting mauled there on the boards. And the party began. But you see Team Canada and just the pure dejection on those guys' faces as they were the runner-up, getting the silver medal around the neck. It was just a bitter pill for them to swallow, especially with the women. Also losing to Team USA. The USA had a balls out Olympics, man. They really did, in a multitude of events. But this was the cherry on top of the sundae, the capper that everybody is going to remember for maybe years and decades to come. Quite frankly, just an amazing chapter in Olympic history that was written and in spectacular fashion, man. Look, I am an extremely casual hockey fan. I could probably name you like 10 guys at most. My extensive hockey knowledge is tied to like NHL 94 and NHL 95 on the Sega Genesis. All right. But I was just, sucked into this action when I did turn it on in the third period and beyond. And, my wife and I, and she's not a hockey fan by any stretch of the imagination, we're screaming, we're yelling, we're pulling for the guys. And, they delivered. It was just unreal. Really an unbelievable game. You got to tip your cap to Team Canada. They played a whale of a game. Team USA, though, conquered in the end and finally broke their gold medal curse again, going back since 1980, only third time in Olympic history to do so. So kudos to Team USA. And this could be a launch point, Pat, for future gold medals. We'll have to see if this can snowball the best way possible. But bask in the glory right now. All of those members at Team USA, just an unforgettable performance that we will all reflect and recall on for years to come.
Yeah, and you get the beautifully bittersweet emotional moment afterwards. They take Johnny Gaudreau's jersey and they're skating with it on the ice. His widow's looking on. It's been a year and a half since him and his brother Matt died in a tragic accident the eve of their sister's wedding. But they were going to be groomsmen in the wedding. That was devastating to watch. But in the midst of just raw emotional glory I thought that was a beautiful moment. And so, yeah, it was a hell of a day. A hell of a day yesterday. And of course, Canada was missing Sidney Crosby, their captain, one of the great players of the last, in the entire history of the sport. After he suffered that injury in their semifinal game, didn't play at all. His absence was definitely felt. Maybe Canada scores on one of those, on that 5-on-3 or on the other power plays they had if they had Sid the Kid. But I mean, hey, what are you going to do, man? That's the sport. That is the sport. I can't stop thinking about Connor Hellebuck shutting me up in the best way possible because I doubted him going into this game, and he was scintillating. The amount of the stops that I say, how did he save that in the third period that he had using the stick, using the blocker, full stretch, full split save with the pads. He was a rock, man. He was a freaking rock. And then, like I said, just that the play with the goal from Jack Hughes in OT, it went from a McDavid, the blur speed and the shaving all the ice up as he tries to skate back in front. I thought he was going to score, and then nearly a costly giveaway that could have been a 2-on-0, but Jack Hughes starts with that as an odd man rush. I mean, holy crap! I was on the edge of my freaking seat. So what a game and what a win.